Now again pause our video. At this, let us pause the heart here. Now what do you see? You see closed chambers. Why? Because the AV valves have closed and the pressure inside the chambers is not high enough. It is increasing, but it has not increased so much that it will overcome the pressure in the aorta and the pulmonary. That means the aortic and the pulmonary valves are not yet open.
Yes.
Still closed.
So, look at the chambers. Are they closed completely?
Yes.
Yes, because the pulmonary aortic are not open and the AV valves are closed. The volume is the same. Volume is not changing. At this point of time, volume is not changing. Is it changing?
No.
No. This is isovolumic contraction phase.
Yes.
This is that point in the cardiac cycle where or when the ventricles are contracting. They are in a contraction, isn't it? The muscle is in contraction? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
So tell me yes, because if you respond, then I understand that you have understood. Ventricles are in contraction, the chambers are closed,
And the volume same.
and the volume is the same. Why is the volume same?
Because all of them closed.
Because all the valves are closed.
Because the volume not enough to open the.
Because the pressure is not enough.
flush.
The pressure is generating, but it is not enough still to open the aortic and the pulmonary valves. This phase is called as isovolumic contraction phase. It lasts for isovolumic contraction phase. Now we have to divide this. We have seen that ventricular systole duration is 0.27 seconds,
Yes.
and we know there are three phases of
Phase.
ventricular systole:
Yes.
isovolumic contraction,
Rapid
rapid ejection,
and
slow
slow,
ejection.
yes.
So these are isovolumic contraction, rapid ejection, slow ejection. So isovolumic contraction phase lasts for 0.05 seconds. Now we have to divide this.
Yeah.
When we make this, it should be equal to
Yes.
0.27.
Yes.
With me so far?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So isovolumic contraction phase 0.05 seconds.
Mm.
Now this contraction of the ventricular muscle overcomes the pressure which is there inside the aorta and the pulmonary. Overcomes that. Overcomes means it will open. Yeah, it is more. Okay, because the muscle is contracting, and as you know, the ventricular muscle is stronger than the atrial muscle.
Yeah.
Particularly, even the left ventricular muscle is stronger than the right one, and all the muscles of the heart. Anyway, so this causes this continued contraction of the muscle increases the pressure so much that the valves open.
Yes.
Will the AV valves open?
No.
No, because they are valves. They are there to prevent backflow into the atria.
Yes.
Which valves will open? Pulmonary and aortic valves.
Yes.
So the doors are closed and you are pushing against the door, closed door, to open it. What will happen? Because of the pressure, it will suddenly open. When it opens suddenly, the initial flow of blood, because it is opening suddenly, the initial flow of blood will be very fast. The blood will be ejected very rapidly because the door has opened. Understood? Hence, it is called as the rapid ejection or fast ejection phase. And once the door is open, initially it will go very fast, but the remaining blood which is there, it will go slowly. So two phases of ejection: rapid ejection phase and slow ejection phase.
Yes.
Rapid ejection phase 0.09. Naturally, again, to remember, the small trick to remember, rapid ejection phase duration will be less than slow ejection phase. Because it is rapid. So because it is not only rapid, because the door has just opened. So suddenly, if I am trying to push all the students out, the initial students against the closed door, the initial students will fall out, isn't it? They will fall out because of the pressure, right? But the other students, they will go out slowly. just to make things like that. So 0.09 will be the duration of the rapid ejection phase. Obviously, the slow ejection phase is having a slightly longer duration. It is 0.013. Now, if you add them, it is equal to 0.27. Clear about ventricular systole?
Yes.
This is ventricular systole from here to here. Now, ventricular diastole.
That's the, okay.
Again, another point that I have told you, the trick is ventricular diastole duration is more than ventricular systole.
Systole.
It is
Absolutely.
0.53 seconds.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yes.
0.5. And there are 3 equal phases of ventricular diastole,
Yeah.
like ventricular systole. If you have understood ventricular systole, it is very easy to understand ventricular diastole. The same thing, isovolumic relaxation phase. Why? Because the ventricles are relaxing.
Yes.
Right? So, now what happened is the ventricles have contracted completely. Right? Now they will start to begin to relax. Right? So there is sudden decrease in the muscle tension in the ventricular walls. There is sudden decrease because they are now just beginning to relax. When they will begin to relax, what will happen to the pressure inside the ventricles? It will decrease.
Suddenly.
When the pressure inside decreases, what will happen to the aortic and the pulmonary valves?
Closed.
They will close. Why they will close?
There is no
Because
pressure.
remember the arteries are elastic structures, isn't it? There is smooth muscle inside,
Yes.
and usually their volume is, let me put it like their diameter. The diameter is reduced because it will try to collapse, isn't it? Why? Because of the elastic nature. When blood is pushed inside from the ventricular walls into the aorta or the pulmonary, this volume of blood will cause dilation of the aorta and the pulmonary.
Yes.
Artery, not the valve. Artery, aorta and pulmonary. It will cause dilation because of the volume of blood.
Okay.
But because of the elastic nature, it will try to squeeze back this elastic nature. So there are 2 forces which are acting on the blood at that time. The force with which the ventricle is pushing it,
Yes.
and the force of the elastic nature. 2 forces. Now this force of the ventricles, if it starts to relax, one force here is gone. That means the pushing force is gone.
Yes.
Which force is acting on that particular
Elastic.
blood?
Elastic.
The elastic force. So it will try to squeeze the blood back into the ventricles. Okay, this is always there. And this pressure in the aorta and the ventricle and the pulmonary is very strong because they are very thick to withstand the pressure of the blood coming from the ventricles. So their walls are very thick, walls of aorta and pulmonary. That means the strength of elasticity is very high. And this pressure, not only that, there is another thing called as the hydrostatic pressure, the gravity.
Yes, yes.
Isn't it? So that will also try to pull the blood back. And the elastic nature. So this generates tremendous back pressure of blood. Back pressure into the ventricles. Now, if there is relaxation or beginning of relaxation, this pressure will send or try to send the blood back into the ventricles.
Yes.
But as soon as the blood starts to travel back, the valves will
Close.
snap shut.
Ah.
Which valves? Aortic and pulmonary valves will snap close. Right? Isovolumetric relaxation phase begins, aortic valves close, and this causes the second half.
Second. Okay.
Closure of AV valves at the beginning of ventricular systole, first heart sound. Closure of aortic valves because of the tremendous pressure at the beginning of ventricular diastole, second heart.
Okay.
Clear?
Yes.
Isovolumetric relaxation phase will be followed by, again, the same thing you have to imagine. Why it is isovolumic relaxation? Because the aortic and the pulmonary valves have closed,
Yeah.
but the AV valves have not yet opened. Why will the AV valves open? Because the ventricles, they are relaxing. When they are relaxing, pressure inside the ventricles will drop, will decrease. When the pressure will decrease, the blood contained in the atria will try to flow down. Okay? When the blood is trying to flow down, the valves will open.
Yes.
Isn't it? The AV
Yes.
valves will open. And why will the blood flow from atria? Because the atria, they are in diastole. They are completely in diastole, isn't it?
Ah, okay, yes.
Except for the systole, rest all is diastole for atria.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
There is no other phase in the atria like in the ventricles. So the atria, they are already in diastole. Diastole means relaxation.
Yes.
And the blood is flowing from the pulmonary and the systemic into the atria. Into the atria.
Yes.
Right? So the blood is already there in the atria. And the ventricles below, they are relaxing. The blood which is there in the atria, it will cause opening of the valves, AV valves.
Yes.
AV valves. But before they open, there is that brief moment of time in which the aortic and the pulmonary valves are closed because of the backflow of the blood from the aorta and the pulmonary. But the AV valves are not yet open. Same like in contraction phase. Same like that in relaxation. Okay? Same like that in relaxation. So isovolumic relaxation phase. This lasts for 0.08 second. Clear? Isovolumic relaxation. Why the volume is the same? Clear. Before that, there is something called as protodiastolic phase. Protodiastolic phase, and the duration is 0.04 second. What is protodiastolic phase? You can see it is only 0.04 second. 0.04 second. And what is that? The duration between point of beginning of relaxation, and closure of the semilunar valves. Here the semilunar valves are closing. Understood? So point of beginning of relaxation of the ventricles, or you can say the duration, protodiastolic period, PDP, is that period. And pro means for. Isn't it? So protodiastolic, yani for diastole. So actually, when the ventricular muscle is beginning to relax, but still there is this particular duration, there is this particular time period when even the aortic and pulmonary valves have not closed. Understood? This duration, understood everyone, Abdullah, everyone? This duration or this time period is called as the protodiastolic period, and it is 0.04 second. Somebody, what is protodiastole? What is protodiastole? Black cap. Okay. So protodiastole is, are you with me till that particular point when the ventricular systole is complete? Ventricular systole is complete. The ventricles have contracted completely. Now they are just beginning to relax. Just beginning to relax. Okay? At that point, this is the point of beginning of the protodiastolic period. And what did I tell you next? What happens next? When the ventricles, they begin to relax, the aortic and the pulmonary valves, they close. Right? The time between beginning of relaxation of the ventricle and closure of the aortic valves is called the protodiastolic period. It is 0.04 seconds. Then begins the isovolumic relaxation phase. Why isovolumic relaxation? Because the ventricles are in relaxation. Point number one. Point number two, the volume inside the ventricles is the same because the aortic or the semilunar valves, they have closed, but the AV valves are not yet open.
Yes.
So the volume inside the ventricles is the same.
Yes.
Hence it is called as isovolumic relaxation phase, the duration is 0.08 second. Similar to the ventricular systole, in which there was a rapid ejection, now there will be rapid filling.
Yes.
Why? Because the blood contained inside the atria is pushing against the AV valve. The AV valve will open suddenly.
Yes.
When there is sudden opening of the valves, the blood will flow down very rapidly. Hence, this is called as rapid filling phase, followed by obviously slow filling phase.
Yes.
Okay, so rapid filling phase 0.11 second. Again, the slow filling phase will be more than the rapid filling phase.
Yes.
So it is 0.19 second.
Okay.
Clear so far?
Yes.
Ventricular diastole has begun from here. Look at me. Look at my finger, which is tracing. Okay. So ventricular diastole has begun. So initial part will be
The
protodiastole. Here protodiastole.
Yes.
Then isovolemic relaxation. Then rapid filling. Then slow filling phase. Okay.
Then again starts.
No, not yet. Not yet. Look at my finger. There is still some point remaining. Isn't it? Now, again, let us pause the heart. Okay? The ventricles are in diastole, end part of diastole. Okay? And the atria are also in diastole. The atria are also in diastole. And the ventricles are also in diastole. Look here.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
But the ventricular diastole lasts longer than, okay, longer than the atrial diastole. This enables, look at this particular point. This is atrial systole. What is happening in the atria? So at this particular point, we have come to the 0 point.
Yes.
Isn't it? Yani, the atrial systole is complete here. But the atrial diastole is, ventricular diastole is going on.
Yes.
The ventricular diastole is going on. At this particular 0 point, the cardiac cycle is complete.
Okay.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Cardiac cycle is complete. Next will begin the next cardiac cycle. Isn't it? The atria will go into systole. The ventricles are still in diastole.
Yes.
This atrial systole enables the ventricles to fill completely.
Okay.
Understood my
Yes,
point?
yes, yes.
This and that particular point in the first no, this one, last part of diastole.
Yes.
Atrial systole pumping the blood into the ventricles during the last part of
Yes.
the ventricular diastole. What is the last part of the ventricular diastole? This is the last part of the ventricular diastole. So this is point 0, and here the ventricles are still in diastole, and the remaining part, the last part of the ventricles diastole is still there. At that time, the next cardiac cycle begins.
Okay.
The next cardiac cycle begins, and the atria they go into systole.
Systole, yes.
And the atrial systole completion is coinciding with completion of
Yes.
ventricular diastole.
Okay.
And this helps in the next cycle. Yeah, ventricular diastole, last part of the previous cardiac cycle, you can say.
Yeah.
And the beginning of the cardiac cycle of the next
Next one.
is the beginning of the atrial systole.
Okay.
This enables the ventricles to fill additionally or completely with blood. So what I am trying to say is, atrial diastole is so long, and sometimes there are diseases of the atria, there are problems, not diseases of the atria. Like for example, atrial fibrillation. What is fibrillation? Loss of rhythmicity. What is rhythmicity? You know, one of the properties of the cardiac muscle is autorhythmicity. What is autorhythmicity? You don't know the cardiac muscle properties? Very important. You have to know the properties of cardiac muscle to understand the functioning of the heart, remember.
Yes.
Okay. One of the basic properties of the cardiac muscle is autorhythmicity. Auto means automatic.
Yes.
Self.
Yes.
Rhythmicity, it generates its own rhythm. What is the rhythm? Rhythm basically means something which is occurring at regular intervals. Regular intervals, that means rhythm.
Yeah, yeah.
You know the word,
Yes, yes.
RHYTHM.
Yes, yes.
Rhythm. Now, this rhythm is maintained by the heart itself. Hence, this is a very important property of the cardiac muscle, which is called as autorhythmicity. This is maintained by the SA node in the right atrium. This autorhythmicity, this generation of its own cardiac impulse,
Yeah.
this is one of the properties of the cardiac muscle. Actually, let me tell you another point, just a point of interest. SA node is the strongest generator of the cardiac impulse. That is why it is called as the pacemaker of the heart. Otherwise, each and every point, each and every cardiac myocyte is capable of generating the impulse. What I am trying to tell you is, if for some reason the SA node is destroyed, the heart will not stop functioning.
Still continue.
Because I am telling you since the beginning that the cardiac impulse is coming from the SA node, from the right atrium. That means if something happens to it, there is nothing to initiate the cardiac impulse, isn't it? But that is not so. Even if you cut the atria off, the ventricles can generate their own rhythm. Every point of the cardiac musculature is having the inherent capacity to generate rhythm. Okay? But the SA node is called as the pacemaker of the heart because it generates the strongest impulse. It is so strong that its impulse superimposes, if you know this word, superimposes upon the impulses generated by the other. They are so feeble, so weak, the impulses generated by the others. Okay? So, even the AV node can generate the impulse, AV node which is there, the AV nodal delay which we were talking about, it can generate the impulse. Coming back to fibrillation. So, rhythm is because of the rhythmic generation of cardiac impulse from the SA node, the rhythm of the heart. If something goes wrong, I'm going into a deeper things
Okay,
here, but I hope you are with me.
Yes,
If you
yes,
follow my words, then you can understand. The thing is, there are cyclical events which are setting up inside the cardiac musculature itself. Actually, the cardiac impulse should come and it should spread over all the muscle, atrial muscle and then all of the ventricular muscle. Sometimes what happens is this impulse becomes a sort of a loop. You know a loop?
Yes.
And something which is occurring there itself, round and round, round and round. And this causes disruption in the cardiac musculature. Suppose the loop is formed here.
Okay.
So this part of the muscle will contract and relax by its own.
Okay.
This happens in certain conditions, certain diseases. So if this happens in the atria, okay, this is called as, in very short, in very brief I am telling you this, okay. There is so much details to understand. This is called as atrial or ventricular fibrillation, depending upon where it is occurring. So instead of contracting and relaxing, systole and diastole, it will just contract and relax like this. Is it effective pumping?
Yes.
No, this is called as fibrillation. So if there is atrial fibrillation, one can think that it is difficult for the ventricles to fill up with blood. Isn't it?
Yes.
Because the atria contract, thereby pushing blood contained inside them into the ventricles. And then the ventricle contract and they are pushing blood into the pulmonary tract, into the lungs from the right side and the body from the left side, systemic circulation respectively, isn't it?
Okay.
But it's not like that. Okay? Why? This you can understand why. Because you can see this is atrial diastole and this is ventricular diastole. Look at the duration of ventricular diastole from here to here. About 70 to 80% of the ventricles are filled up without the assistance, let me say, of atrial systole. So even if there is no atrial systole, still this much amount of ventricular diastole is occurring along with atrial diastole,
Yes.
which is enough to fill the blood with to fill the ventricles with blood. Okay?
Yes.
So, the final point of ventricular diastole, last part of ventricular diastole, coincides with atrial systole, and because it coincides with atrial systole, it is included here. Look here. Look here. This is atrial systole. Why? The question is, why is atrial systole coming in ventricular diastole? Isn't it? I have written it here. Atrial systole, and the duration is 0.11. If you add this all together, it comes to 0.53.
Yes.
And don't be confused later on when you will see ventricular diastole 0.53, including atrial systole. Don't be confused. Okay? Don't be confused, because this is atrial systole and this is the last part of ventricular diastole.
Yes, yes.
So this is 0.53. Is ventricular diastole clear? Atrial systole is there, right? Have we completed cardiac cycle?
Yes.
That's it. We have completed this point, this all points we have completed. Right? The complete picture. What is the complete picture? What is the complete picture? This is the complete picture. This looks, when you look at it in the beginning, this looks very confusing. But it is equally simple. It is equally simple. Things get simplified when you analyze them. Like I have already always told you,
Yes.
even to understand particular terms, just break them up and just analyze them.
Yes.
This will help you. This is why it is called the complete picture, because you can see everything. This is also cardiac cycle, by the way.
Mhm.
And by the way, these are two cardiac cycles. This is one, this is two. And this picture shows you the changes which are occurring only in the left ventricle. Only in the left ventricle. Why only in the left ventricle? Simple. If you see from the previous slide, the cardiac cycle is all about description of changes which are occurring in the ventricle.
Yes.
Otherwise, there is nothing in the atria. There is
Yes.
0.1 second for atrial systole and 0.7 second for
Yes.
atrial diastole.
Yes.
So basically what you have to remember about cardiac cycle are events which are occurring in the ventricles. So that is why this is left ventricular. This is one, this is two. And it, at a glance, it shows you the pressure changes which are occurring in the aorta, pressure which are occurring changes in the atrial, okay, both the atria, the ventricular pressure changes. It shows the ventricular volume, because you know pressure and volume, they are related with one another, isn't it? It also shows you electrical changes which are occurring in the heart, the ECG. And it also shows you the sounds which are being produced. The first heart sound and the second heart sound,
Yes.
which is done using the phonocardiogram. So it gives you the complete picture. Now let us very quickly, because we have already gone through the cardiac cycle completely. So now we can go very quickly here. Isn't it? The red line. Let us take up the red line first. What is the red line? It is the ventricular pressure. What is the blue line? It is the ventricular volume. Now, if this is very clear to you, if volume is decreasing, what will happen to the pressure? It is a closed chamber. If volume is decreasing, what will happen to the pressure? Increase.
Yeah.
Simple. See here. Now this is volume in milliliters from 50 to 130, and this is pressure. Pressure from 0 to 120.
Okay.
Volume from here to here. Now the volume, for example, here is 100 milli of blood or 110 milli of blood, right? This is the volume. It is increasing to 130 milliliters of blood in the left ventricle. Okay. Now this pressure is slightly increasing. The volume is also increasing. What is this phase? What is this phase in the cardiac cycle? Can you tell me? When the blood volume is increasing, see here, from 120 to 130. What is this phase? Relaxation. Relaxation. Because the blood volume is increasing means it is in diastole. The blood is coming from the atria into the ventricle. So it is relaxation or diastole, right? After relaxation, what happens? What is the first point of contraction? Ventricular systole. A ventricular systole is divisible into three.
Yes.
Isovolumic contraction. This is isovolumic contraction phase. Point between these two lines. What is this first line? You see here. This blood is increasing and this is the pressure. Now what happens? AV valves close. See here, it is written. AV valves close.
Yes.
Once AV valves close, there is a phase called as isovolumic contraction.
Yes.
This phase is in between closure of AV valves and opening of aortic valves,
Yes.
semilunar valves,
Yes.
or aortic valves. If we talk only about the left ventricle, then the aortic valve, right? Let's talk only about, because this picture is for left ventricle. Let's talk about left ventricle. What is the duration of phase? You can say the isovolumic contraction phase is in between closure of AV valves and opening of aortic valves.
Yes.
So AV valves they close.
Yes.
What will happen to the pressure in the
Increase.
See, this is increasing.
Yes.
Look at it, how sharply it is increasing.
Yes.
What will happen to the volume?
Decrease.
No. No. Isovolumic.
Yeah.
No change.
Still.
Yes.
No change. It will remain the same. See? So it's a straight line.
Yes.
After opening
Because the volume will not change.
Yes.
Isovolumic.
Yes.
Okay? So volume will not change. It will remain 130. Right?
Yeah.
But the pressure, look at the pressure. My God, it is going from almost like 10 to how much? 80.
80. Yeah.
So the pressure is increasing inside.
Yes.
Then this pressure, like I have told you, overcomes the pressure in the aorta,
Yes. Open the.
causing opening of the aortic valves. So aortic valves will open.
Yes.
Suddenly, right? Suddenly.
Increase.
So this phase from here to here is ejection phase. Ejection phase.
Yes.
It is one ejection phase, but you can divide it into rapid and slow ejection phase. But for you it is ejection phase, right? What will happen to the pressure? The pressure will keep on increasing up to a point in ejection. So this is rapid ejection
Okay.
phase.
Stop.
What happens to the volume? Because the blood is being pushed out,
Yes.
right? So the volume will decrease. Then the pressure will also decrease. Why? Because the blood is being pushed out, isn't it? So the pressure is decreasing inside. So the pressure is decreasing. The volume has decreased almost to like 50 million. Okay? That means what? What does this point tell you? The ventricles do not completely empty of blood at the end of ventricular systole. It's not like all the blood is pushed out and now there is 0 milli blood in the ventricles.
Still some.
This is called as end systolic volume. End systolic volume. So there are two terms, let me introduce them to you. End systolic volume, end diastolic volume. What will be the end systolic volume? End systolic volume is the volume of blood that remains in the ventricles at the end of systole, which tells you that the lecture now. End systolic volume. Okay? Usually it is comes in milli. Similarly, end diastolic volume will be the volume of blood that remains in the blood or is present in the blood at the end of diastole. Okay? Khalas, I will leave you here because this is very simple now, isn't it? And this is first heart sound.
Yeah.
Isn't it? This is a closure of AV valves, first heart sound. Second heart sound, closure of aortic valve. This aortic valve it closed. So this is closure of aortic valve in the second heart sound. Okay. Similarly, this is P, Q, R, S waves in the ECG. You can see that the ECG waves are before the electrical event has to occur first, then the mechanical event of contraction will occur. So this is one heart cycle or one cardiac cycle. This is another cardiac cycle. So this has it become very simple now?
Yes.
When you saw it first, it seems like, oh my God, what is this? But once you see it, once you analyze it, it becomes very simple, right?
Bring it in our space, it's easy.
Bring
In our space. For our exam.
OSP is for the lab. So similarly, this is all description of the same.
Yes.
Okay, this is what I have told you, like going on, blah blah. Okay, this is all blah blah. And here, this is the protodiastolic period. Okay, and here that I have done all these written here. And this is simply called as the pressure volume curve. This is also very simple, pressure volume curve. So this is pressure and this is volume. From A to B, A to B is passive filling and atrial contraction. Okay. What about what is happening to the volume? The volume is increasing, isn't it? Volume is increasing. What happens to the pressure? There is no change in pressure. But as soon as the valves close, look at the pressure.
It will increase.
Okay, so this is called as the pressure volume curve. This is also very simple to understand. And there is end diastolic volume and end systolic volume that you can see here. This is another picture of the same. That was Guyton, this is some other book. And here, this I have put for you to see at a glance, okay, what is happening. In atrial systole, what happens to the atria? What happens to the ventricles during atrial systole? What is the situation in which the AV valves are and the semilunar valves are during one particular time? Okay, so this will, after understanding the whole cardiac cycle, this will just tell you at a glance what is happening at this particular point of time in the heart. This picture. Similarly, this picture also tells you about the status of the valves. Okay, which one is open during this part of systole and diastole? Okay, which is open, which is closed, which is open, which is closed. So, just as to keep things further.
Thank you.